Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1985 action-adventure classic, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, starring Fred Ward, Wilford Brimley. The list goes on and on. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club, it's like a book club, where each week I will post online what movie we'll be doing. You can send in your questions, comments, any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything else that you want to get off your chest, and we'll talk about it on the show. You can reach me on our page on YouTube, Kevin D. You can also reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Don't forget to like our pages and subscribe. You can also reach me on Twitter at KD9575. So please spread the word and tell your friends what we're doing out here, okay? Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. In this, a hardened veteran police officer in New York City is thought to be killed in the service of his duty. Okay, his police car goes into the lake, basically, but it was all set up. He was basically taken from the police car, given a new face, presumed dead by the public at large, and given a new name. Now he's known as Remo Williams. Okay, that name came unceremoniously from the bottom of a of a bedpan at the hospital where he was convalescing. So there you go. What we discover, he has been recruited without his knowledge by a super secret organization called The Cure, who essentially work for the government but above and beyond the government, so that if any crooks or criminals, international bad guys, are on the scene and the courts can't get them because they're corrupt and the cops are on the take, then the Cure takes care of it, basically. So they've got Remo, but you know, he's got his instincts of being a police officer for all these years. He knows the streets, but now they're going to train him to be an assassin, if you will. But not an assassin who uses a gun or poison or anything like that. They're going to send him to the trainer. His name is Chun. He's the master of this martial art, ancient martial art called Sinanju. And it's obviously a martial art where you can kill people in such a way that people don't know that you killed people. You can dodge bullets. You can also, if you're really high level, walk on water. So there you go. This is serious business. So Chun takes Remo over the course of several weeks, teaches him many different things. You know, he uses techniques to get his fingers as strong as iron. So now he doesn't have to use guns and things. He can just... his first target is this weapons manufacturer working for the government, but who does really poor work. His weapons basically blow up on the field, but not in a good way, I guess. I mean, when you're using them, they blow up, if you catch my drift. But he's bribed the generals around him. You know, everyone around him is on the take, so he needs to get some more information and get to the bottom of this, while still continuing his training. So, you know, he confronts somebody. He meets this guy who's kind of one of the henchmen for the evil guy, and he's got this diamond on his tooth. Why? Lord only knows. But when confronting that guy, they get a picture of Remo. So now they send thugs after him, and there's this climactic battle on the Statue of Liberty, which was under construction at that time. He uses his Sinanju and fends off the guys. I don't want to spoil everything, okay? You know, I don't want to give it all away. It's still streaming instantly on Netflix. But, you know, Remo is able to master Sinanju and defeat the bad guys. I guess that is kind of a spoiler. I guess I gave it all away. Anyway, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Let this be a lesson to all future filmmakers. Never include in the title, like, this is just, you know, part one of the story that will continue. because there was never the adventure continues. Okay, this was the only Remo Williams movie ever made. They actually made a pilot for a TV series that was supposed to like continue the adventure, but that wasn't even picked up, so it's very sad. Uh, it reminds me, I have the greatest hits of Hall & Oates, Part 1. Okay, there was never a Part 2. Well, let me put it this way. 30 years later, we're still waiting for Part 2. Okay? So there you go. You know, it was meant to be the first movie of a series based upon these books called The Destroyer. They're kind of spy fantasy books that young men like to read. They've written like 130 of these books in the last 30 years. And they were so successful that they thought, hey, why not make it into this movie? Wasn't a huge hit, like I said. You got Fred Ward, who you might remember. He was in such things as The Right Stuff, for example. He was in Tremors, one of my personal favorites. He's not what you might consider a leading man type. He's kind of gruff. He's fun in this movie. Wilford Brimley plays the head of Cure, which is that super secret organization. Chun, the Korean master of Sinanju, was actually played by a white guy. Don't ask me why. This is 1985. They didn't have a whole lot of political correctness back then. They used, you know, prosthetics and makeup to resemble an 88-year-old Korean man. And if you watch this movie, it's kind of shocking. I mean, it looks, the effects are really good. It's like it's hard to know this is like a little white guy. That actor was Joel Grey, who is famous for being in Cabaret with Liza Minnelli. But even more shocking, he's Jennifer Grey's dad. So there you go, Jennifer Grey from such things as Ferris Bueller's Day Off, etc., etc. He actually didn't want to do it, rightfully so. Like there were no Asian actors they could have hired. I don't know. Until he basically went in there and he said, if you can convince me, you know, with the makeup that I can resemble an 80-year-old Korean man, I'll do it. And they convinced him. Like I said earlier, they nominated the makeup for an Oscar in this because it was so shocking. Sinanju, which is the martial art talked about in this movie, where they say kung fu, karate, jujitsu are merely rays of sunlight, where Sinanju is the sun itself. It's made up. It's a made-up martial art, because obviously how many martial arts are out there saying, yes, and we'll teach you how to dodge bullets and walk on water? Not many. Not many, I'd say. Now, granted, I'm not a scholar on this, but I venture to say not many. In fact, when actors went in to audition for the role, some actually claimed to be masters of this martial art. So, there you have it. Joel Grey, who played Chun, had never received any martial arts training before or during or even after this movie, so it was a lot of kind of fake martial arts, if you will. C'est la vie. Like I said, this was meant to spin off into a series of films. Did not happen. They did go on to, like I said, make a pilot where for some reason there's some rule that this Korean character can only be played by a white guy in makeup. Roddy McDowall was going to play the guy on the TV series. It's very offensive. It's offensive to me, at least. You know what I'm saying? They did, obviously, like I said, they had 130 of these novels. They also released a number of comic books. If you're into that thing, for Marvel Comics, you can look it up. They're called the Destroyer novels in comic books because they kind of make references that Remo Williams is the reincarnation of Shiva, who is the destroyer in Hindu culture. So there you go. What else can I tell you about this one? Fred Ward has claimed publicly that he did all of his own stunts, including the fight that takes place on the Statue of Liberty. So that's kind of interesting. If you look close, there's a couple scenes where Chun is actually running on water. And if you look very close, you'll see actual wood planks across the water. I guess they had to do something. He wasn't really walking on water. In the climactic battles at the end of the movie, it's at this military base called Fort Promise. And if you look close, there are a number of mature marijuana plants seen in many of these scenes. I'm assuming that was on accident. I don't know. Maybe the crew need a little pick-me-up after work. Who knows? Okay? Another thing that you might find interesting, Tommy Shaw from that hit rock band Styx did the theme music for this, including the title track. So there you go. Movie did not get very good reviews, and like I said, because it didn't do very well, there was no sequel. There was no The Adventure Continues or The Adventure Ends. Very sad. It currently holds a 42% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Very sad. Very sad. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not the best movie in the world, but it has a lot of fun scenes in it that if you're into that kind of martial arts spy kind of thing, I recommend it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so if you have not seen it, check it out. You can still send me your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, questions, and comments. I'd love to hear it. Next week, I'm going to be going back to the horror genre. It's kind of a horror sci-fi genre. We're going to be doing Species, starring Michael Madsen, Ben Kingsley, Natasha Henstridge. It's an all-star cast. Forrest Whitaker, for goodness sake. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so check that out. Send me your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, questions, anything else you'd like to get off your chest. Don't forget to go to our page on Facebook and give us the big thumbs up. And go on to our page on YouTube and subscribe. It's totally free. Okay? Don't forget to spread the word and tell a friend. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. You move like a pregnant yak. So there it is. Thank you for joining us next week. Species, don't forget to spread the word. Be well.